You can choose whether I'm better with headphones
it's like silent disco.
or without headphones.
Instead for 20 minutes.
Welcome to our session today. I'm joined by my two colleagues, Christine and Fiona, and we're going to discuss today how to get your ask right. So I'm Russell Dalgleish. I chair the organisation Scottish Business Network, which I co-founded with Christine Essen. Christine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Christine Essen, and I am, as well as being a co-founder of Scottish Business Network, I'm also an ambassador for Women's Enterprise Scotland, which is a fantastic initiative supporting women against all the challenges that we face in developing our own business. And so I am delighted that sharing the panel on this Westlife stage, and we're about to do a key change and she's going to stand up, is another woman in business, another fantastic woman business leader, Fiona McKinnon of the Moment Company.
Thanks, Christine. You stole my line. I wanted to do the Westlife moment. Hi, I'm Fiona McKinnon, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Moment Company. And at Moment Company, we're on a mission to share the benefits of taking short, regular mind breaks throughout your busy working day, and to help build mental fitness, resilience, and a positive workplace. So we work with individuals, and we also work with corporations in really focusing on what wellness means within an organisation. And the reason I'm with Russell and Christine, as well as being Scottish, I actually live down south, and I have been a member of Scottish Business Network since almost the very beginning. I think meeting number 2 about 6 or 7 years ago, and I felt the benefit as a consultant and advisor in my old job when I first met them, and also now as a startup and founder, and the support I've got through SBN. Thank you.
So what we actually do at Scottish Business Network is actually very straightforward. We make meaningful connections. Now you might think, well, everybody does that, but they don't, because the stress is in the word meaningful. It's about value-add connections for Scottish businesses who have that ambition, that passion and commitment to trade out with Scotland. And the first thing you learn is that nobody outside Scotland knows what the word out with means. So trading outside of Scotland to improve Scotland's export potential. So that's what we do, and we do it very simply and very straightforwardly. And Russell's going to explain, with some few a support act here, how we go about doing that.
Thank you very much, Christine. So we've spent 7 years building the largest network of business people with an interest in Scotland the world has ever seen. We have approximately 12,000 Scots, or people with an interest in Scotland, across 73 countries. Those are all individuals who want to help you. Some of those Scots are here in Scotland, some are in the other parts of the UK, many are around the world. And what we do is we help you move your business forward by helping them help you. We're all involved in sales when we're trying to grow our business. But selling's tough. It's a lot easier to ask for help. But we weren't brought up to ask for help. We were brought up in Scotland in an environment where we were told to do it ourselves. I can still hear my mother saying that to me. But what we have to do is we have to learn how to ask for help. So we're going to go through a simulation on stage about how the ask works. And then we're going to come to you. And we're going to make a free offer to you. Who is it you think could help you move your business forward? Which company would you like to connect with? What would you like to know? And we try and find the correct person to help you. They're unlikely to be in this room today, so we'll take a note of that and then come back to you. Does that sound useful? Perhaps you don't have businesses you want to grow. I'm sure you do, though. We are at a digital event about growth. So let's start with the ask itself. Christine, could you tell us what an ask is, and quite importantly, what an ask is not?
Sure. Being part of the Scottish Business Network Group means you will hear me often talking about your laser-focused ask. Step for a hint. When we come out to you in the audience, please don't say to me, oh, well, I'm kind of looking for somebody in the HR function in an engineering company in London. No. I'm looking to talk to Fiona McKinnon, who heads up Company X in East Dulwich. And the reason I want to talk to Fiona McKinnon, who heads up that company, is because from my research into that business, I know that our software that we're offering will address key challenges that they are facing in their business. Now, what that tells me is that you've done your intelligence gathering in the market. You know your product, you know the problem that you're solving, and importantly, you know who is your targeted customer, the targeted person who's going to spend money on you and your product. So when anyone asks for something in Scottish Business Network, they come with this briefing. Be brief, be specific, be gone. Because when you walk into that buyer's room, as we will have a room, an audience there full of people who are hearing the story from Scotland. But you know, there's 101 other people who are also telling the story from Scotland. What you have to do is be brief, be specific, be gone. Know who you're selling to, know what the problem is you're solving, and know why you're the right company with that differentiating product to make the difference in that market. Is that making sense? I see a few heads nodding here. Yeah. So please, whenever, if God willing, that we see you at Scottish Business Network event in the near future, don't do the, well, Christine, right, we build you up, we do the 10 minutes conversation, and then we come to the ask, and everyone's sitting in the end of their seats, because most people in the audience know Christine will have told them, be brief, be specific, be gone. If you start talking to me about the software behind your product, if you start telling me about you're the only product in the world, all you will start seeing is me walking closer and closer and closer to you.
It's not actually terrifying. It's a very fun event.
It's a very fun event. But what we want to do is be specific, because we have seen the power of that. So let me give you an example. So we had a company, much like yourselves, a food company here in Scotland, and they came up to our event in London, and they were extremely specific about what they were looking for. They spoke about their growth potential, they spoke about the growth that they'd achieved in the business and what they were looking to do next time. And then they were very clear about looking for a specific type of individual, an individual who had an understanding of the benefits of food. The benefits of food, as Fiona often talks about in mental health, about the benefits of taking the right food at the right time. It was all about healthy food. You can imagine healthy nibbles that you could have. And they were very specific about the investor that they were looking for. They described the perfect investor for their business. Now, sitting out in the audience wasn't that investor, but what there was someone acting on behalf of that investor. In fact, somebody who just had a conversation with them 24 hours before about the type of business they were looking to invest in. So that connection was immediate because she was specific. Or as Russell was reminding me of earlier today, there was one of our members who was really keen to talk to somebody within the British Library because they had a product and service they knew was absolutely key for this organisation. They mentioned the individual's name, they mentioned their role, and they mentioned where they worked within the British Library. Now that person wasn't in our audience, but you know, there was someone in the audience who knew someone else, who knew someone else, who knew that individual. And because they were specific about it, because they were very laser focused in their ask, that connection was made. Again, is this making sense to you? What we often talk about is the fact that opportunities don't just sit there out in the ether. Opportunities are connected with individuals, and the more specific you can be about who you're looking to talk to, who you're wanting to connect with, the greater the likelihood is of that opportunity connecting back with you. Russell.
Thank you very much, Christine. So just to talk a little bit about the other side of the table, i.e. the person that's going to help you, you've got to think a little bit about their mindset. So when we make the introduction, you're going to go on that call with the individual. And what we say is it's always the same. This individual has agreed to help you, so ask for help, i.e. don't sell them something. And all you got to do is to specifically trying to get to the second meeting on that first call. So we're going to try and map this out for you, and then we'll try to do it with you. So first of all, I'm going to ask Fiona.
Oh, God.
I know.
So deliberately, we've planned this by not telling Fiona we're going to do this.
The pressure!
So Fiona's going to have an ask that she's going to put to Christine to try to see if Christine can think of someone to help. Okay? So we don't, if you think about it, we don't really need to know about Fiona's business to make the ask and to do the help. We just need a rough idea. So could you just give us that rough idea? And we always think about it, if you were telling your granny what you did, that kind of level of concept of it. So what is it you do, Fiona?
Okay. So we have a well-being business that helps organizations bring better mental fitness, resilience and communication into their organizations by delivering a series of workshops.
Really succinct. So, what is your ask?
So my ask, Christine, is that I would really like to get into a couple of large organizations in Glasgow. And one that springs to mind, just because I see them everywhere when I walk around, there's lots of development going on, there's obviously lots of growth in Glasgow, is Colliers. Do you know anybody in the HR department or in the wellbeing sector within Colliers International that you might be able to make an introduction for me?
And Colliers are the...
They are the construction company.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. And I genuinely do know those within the construction industry. So I'm not specifically with Colliers, but I do know companies that are suppliers into Colliers within the QS industry who would be able to provide me with a name. But what you've also identified there is the HR function. And I know that group, that there are groups who come together within the HR functions, and I know a number of people who are really senior within that role within the west of Scotland.
That's really interesting, because having that conversation, you've just reminded me of another really big company in Glasgow who my dad actually worked for about 60 years ago, and that's Weir Group.
Yes.
Do you happen to know somebody in HR in Weir Group?
Yes. We know the head of the HR in Weir Group, and that wasn't scripted at all. But yeah, it wasn't actually. But yes, we do. We know that, I know the head of HR in Weir Group. But the more specific you are around that, that is easier. So head of HR in Colliers, head of HR in Weir Group. The answer to that is yes. And more specifically, it's then back to you, Fiona, to give us a very brief summary of the value add to these businesses, because Russell and I will happily make those introductions, but as Russell said earlier, it's about the value that comes back as well to us, that we are not introducing people who really don't know what they're focused on. So thank you for that.
So there's an important point here, which is about why would Christine be willing to risk her reputation by making this introduction? And it's based on trust. So Christine trusts the fact that when she makes the introduction, Fiona won't embarrass her. That's what we're really thinking about. We're not thinking about the fact that Christine can get a great success from the introduction working. We're not thinking about the outcome from the introduction. As human beings, what we're thinking about is our own reputation. But what will actually happen is Christine's reputation will be enhanced by introducing someone such as Fiona to Colliers. And that's what you've got to think about when you're going through this process with the ask. Now we're going to go on to the second part, which is I will play the part of someone from Colliers who Christine's introduced. So Christine has done the introduction, and now we're going to go on to the first call. So Fiona's calling me up and I've been told to expect the call by Christine. So ring, ring.
Russell, hello. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to meet with me.
Hi there, thank you very much. How can I help?
Well, as Christine, I'm sure, has made the connection already, we're a well-being business that are looking to bring workshops into your organization, and I've heard that you're very proactive in the HR and wellness sector, and I would love to be able to come in and have a longer conversation with you about how we can help your organization.
That sounds very interesting. We've discussed that at the board level. Let me introduce you to our HR head who'll set up the meeting.
That would be great. Thank you very much. Now he's going to coach me on what I should have said.
That's really important because the executive you're speaking to is really busy. So they've already got trust on the call because Christine's made the introduction and I trust Christine. I was given a slight briefing on what the call would be about, makes complete sense, and now let's action it. But Fiona did something really special. Really, really special. Fiona said something nice about me. She said, you have a reputation in the market for doing this good thing. So I'm naturally drawn to that person because not a lot of people phone up executives and say nice things to them. People usually phone up executives to complain, to ask for something, or to try to sell them something. This lovely person has phoned up who does something that will probably help me and my company and has said something nice about me. So we've done it. The ask has worked.
So how important, Russell, is that pre-conversation research then? How important is the intelligence gathering on the individual?
I think it's relatively important. So the way I run this internationally is that if Fiona asked for colliers in Tennessee, I could probably reach out to someone in Tennessee who I've got a relationship with, and I would simply do by LinkedIn, and I would say, hi, Tom, I'm working with this amazing company run by a Scot, improving health and well-being. Can you help me do an introduction to X? And through LinkedIn as a means of communication, they almost always say yes. So the research part is the bit that we've done over 6 years by building that network. However, the really exciting thing is when we're asked to help and we don't know. No, so if we didn't know the individual at that company, what we then do is we use our software to find what people would fall into our definition of Scot who work there, and we would send them a connection request. Send 3 connection requests, someone will always accept, and then follow up by saying, I'd like to make this introduction. It really is that simple.
Can I just say, sort of step out of my role playing, is that I have felt and experienced that directly. So as a young startup, I'm based down in Brighton, but we have built a network and communication regularly with people in New Zealand due to the New Zealand ambassador of Scottish Business Network, building an affinity and a connection around what we do, seeing the potential. She used to work in the industry herself and was very comfortable because of the background working together and making those introductions. So we now have an opportunity in New Zealand that would never have existed without that trust, and then that then has a ripple effect in terms of meeting other organizations in that part of the world.
Thank you for that. There's one thing I would add. When the introduction is made to me to say, Russell, would you speak to Fiona? I will always look at their LinkedIn profile. And if I look at Fiona's LinkedIn profile and go, oh, this isn't really someone I want to talk to. They look a bit not business orientated, or they haven't done anything on LinkedIn at all, which to me means maybe they're not real or there's something wrong. But if I looked at their LinkedIn profile and it reconfirms what Christine told me when she made the introduction, then I'm in, I'm sold. And that's why your LinkedIn profile is so important. You've got to appear there as the person we describe. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Don't be an egg on LinkedIn if you really want to be taken seriously in business. Because we won't accept you, and Russell accepts everybody except the eggs in LinkedIn.
So that was an example And obviously, we've not practiced this. We just thought it was useful to try to share with you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come to you and request your ask. So you've got a rough idea what we need to do, what we need to help. So we need to know, in 20 seconds, what it is your offering is, what your value proposition is, and then who it is you'd like us to open a door for. And then we'll try to do it. And all I say is we try. No, we don't charge a fee for this. We ask people to join us, but what we really do is we want to make a difference to your business. So who's got an ask?
Kate.
Hi. So Kate Barnard from Enjoy the Air. We help cities improve their air quality and save them from government fines. My ask is I'd like to find somebody in Scotland who understands the financial flow of healthcare. So if I improve and make money savings for a council, who benefits financially from that?
Where will I find that person? Where do they work at the moment? How would I know?
I think it's going to be somebody who is in the public health sort of NHS Scotland, not necessarily in the council themselves because they're quite siloed in their thinking. So it'll be somebody who sees the holistic bit of Scotland.
So someone in the NHS who is responsible for air quality?
No, is responsible for the devolvement of finances throughout Scotland and the nuances of which bits affect air quality. But I know that bit of information, so I could provide those details.
So it's a budget holder?
Yes.
So which budget do they hold?
The one that goes to healthcare of the local authorities.
So would that be would the minister be a good place to start?
Possibly, but I think they might be almost too high level. I think you need someone actually in the NHS.
So the way to go about asking that one, or to my mind, I'll let Christine come in as well, is I would probably write to the minister and say we're looking for the person that does this. Mm-hmm. I'm not actually sure if it is a person or it's more like a department. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to find out, actually.
What do you think, Christine?
Well, I'm struggling as to whether you're talking, we've heard two comments here. We've heard NHS and we've heard finance and budget holders. I'm not clear at all, Kate, what area of business that you're looking for there.
I'm looking to save money in healthcare for those cities. If they save that money, whose purse does that go back into? Does it go back into the local authority or does it go back into the holistic healthcare of Scotland?
City deals, would that come into this, where we've got the city deal groups? So we've got Glasgow, we've got Dundee, we've got Perth. These are groups that are brought together in order to help benefit the local communities. Have you looked at the city deals?
No.
I think it'd be worth looking there because we've got some really good contacts within the city deals, some direct contacts there. And I would look, I know definitely Glasgow's in the city deal, Perth is in one, and Dundee. Don't anyone else know anything about the city deals in Scotland? No. I would definitely look at those, Kate, and come back to us because that is where they're looking to benefit the local community. And it is a community group because we're struggling between healthcare and budgetary.
Yeah.
I think that could, as much as anything, Kate, that would really hone down your addressable market into what is the market you're absolutely, focusing on. People often talk about, my market size is this big, but who specifically and what part of the market within that are you addressing? So come back to us on that one, but I think that'd be a good starting point.
So we are russell@sbn.scot or Christine.
Don't worry, I've already stalked you. and you connected with me last week.
Excellent, that's perfect. Next one. Yes, young gentleman, who we've never met before. Yeah.
Hi guys, thanks. That was very. I'm quite nervous now with my ask, but I'm Daniel, and I've got a company called Forum. We're a virtual event platform for the education sector, more specifically alumni engagement. My ask is quite specific because we're just about to launch our seed funding round, and I'd love an introduction to an individual named Paul Atkinson from Par Equity. or individuals like him. It just seems every single research bet that I've done at all these equity firms, the mutual connection is Paul. He might be a little bit too high up the food chain, but to have a conversation with him, to get his advice based off of him chairing things like Converge and his connection with universities as well.
Okay, so we have very strong connections with Par Equity Syndicate, so I'm delighted to make that introduction to Paul Atkinson, who heads up the syndicate. There's two additional introductions I would suggest I make. One is to Sandy Finlayson, who's one of the major players in innovation and investment in Scotland for the last 30 years. He participated in a Scottish International Week event yesterday. I'll make that introduction. The second introduction I'll make is a gentleman called Joe Goldblatt. Joe Goldblatt was professor at Queen Margaret University, an American, and he wrote the books on event management which are studied by students around the world. So I think those three would probably be good.
I have his book.
Thank you.
Daniel, within your management team or your founding team, what proportion is male, female, or women, male mix?
So it's myself and a co-founder, but part of our director, we've got Hillary, she's part of our director, and then Dave, he's director as well. So 25%.
Okay, because there's also another group in particular interest for companies looking to invest in women-focused products, or also with a strong women-led management team, is Mint Ventures. Okay. And Mint Ventures is particularly looking at VC within women's investment side, because, as you know, less than 1% of all VC investment goes into women-led businesses. Yeah. So they're looking for those companies in Scotland that got a strong female leadership team there, and Bikeen and Gillian Fleming there. Happy to make that introduction if you fit that proviso.
Yeah, that'd be great, Christine. Thank you. And feel free to come over to our booth.
Will
anyone.
Do.
We've got little pins you can have.
Well done, Daniel.
Thanks, Russell.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Ian Baxter. I'm the founder of a new digital product business called Bright7. I'd like introductions to people running the new tech scaler hubs that are being set up at the moment, so that I can offer to help new startups in these ecosystems with getting the best value from their ideas, and that they use what resources they have most effectively.
Could you just repeat? Sorry, the line just wasn't very
no worries.
clear. Sorry.
I'll start again. Okay. So I'd like introductions to people running the new tech scaler hubs, which are being set up across Scotland. I'm a digital product manager and workshop facilitator, and I think I can help new startups make the most of their opportunities, and I think I could add value in there.
Because I'm going to really push you now, as though you were at. Why? There's many people like you, but you have something unique. Can you share what your unique selling proposition is there?
Yeah, I'm still discovering what that is. So I've spent a lot of time. I've got 20 odd years experience in fintech, mostly building digital products. I'm an AWS certified practitioner, and I'm familiar with all the right product management practices, so I can share that with new businesses.
Fantastic. And that immediately sets you apart from the rest there, which is great. Russell?
I'm delighted to make that introduction.
Yeah.
So the report that was used to move forward the Tech Scaler project by Mark Logan. So Mark actually included, very kindly, a piece on Scottish Business Network, and we have a good relationship there. We've also worked with the STAIR team, which was the follow-on before the scalers were announced, and we delivered a number of events around the world on the back of that. So we've got a number of connections. Delighted to make that. And just to take Christine's point, we'd probably look to help you just to write down the words that you're going to use to describe you first, and we'll help on a build on that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sure. I just kind of was going off the cuff there. I hadn't really thought about it until right now. So.
Good. Have you looked at the Halo initiative down in Kilmarnock?
No, I've not heard of that.
Have a look at that, and led by Mary Macklin, and it's on the site of the old Johnny Walker premises down there. Fabulous work they're doing about startups, and I think, is it Barclays are in there?
So Barclays Eagle Labs manager for the Halo is on the Barclays stand this afternoon.
I'd be speaking to them, doing phenomenal work down there. And Marie Macklin is an amazing female entrepreneur worth connecting with.
Delighted to help them, but thank you for asking, because unless you ask, we can't help.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else? Everyone else is busy. Oh, here we go. Oh, yes, sir. How far have you come?
I'm visiting at the moment from Indonesia. I've been in Indonesia for 25 years, almost 26 now. And I'd be interested in introductions to anyone who's at the stage where they're looking to go international and would be otherwise scared away from Indonesia. And you know, I can certainly introduce people to a lot of influential and people in Indonesia who can help you overcome the trepidation, shall we say.
So the answer is yes. Now, that's not a specific ask. However, I know that that assistance will greatly help a number of Scottish businesses. So what I would suggest we do with that ask is that we arrange to do an online session where I interview you about the opportunities in Indonesia and how you can provide assistance for companies to go into that market. We then distribute that through our network to build up companies that would be interested in working with you.
Perfect. Thank you.
This is going very well.
We're nearly out of time.
All right, final question.
Can I just give an example then, just before we leave? And that is that I met with Russell about 3 weeks ago in London, and he said, so he gave me the ask, how can I help you, Fee? And I said, oh, you know, it'd be great to be doing some events and just kind of building more awareness of what we do. I've never really been up to Scotland. And the next morning he said, you're on the main stage at Digital DNA on the 28th of September. So be careful what you ask for, because it can happen really quickly.
Perfect, Fiona. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Take care now.